Welcome to this explainer. You know, we've all been there. You get handed a cheap promotional pen, you click it once, and boom, it breaks in 5 seconds. Well, today, we're making absolutely sure you never end up sourcing one of those. We're cracking open the ultimate 2026 procurement playbook for sourcing promotional merchandise over in China. Whether you're an Amazon seller hustling to launch a new brand, a corporate event planner, or a Fortune 500 procurement officer, look, navigating global manufacturing can feel honestly like a giant puzzle. But don't sweat it. We're going to break the whole shebang down step by step using the latest data and sourcing reports. Let's just jump right in. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, this massive industry shift. For decades, the golden rule for sourcing was super simple: cheap and fast. That was basically the whole reputation, right? But man, that has completely evolved. Today's global buyers are demanding so much more. We're talking sustainability, compliance, and transparency. It's all about strict adherence to ESG standards, environmental, social, and governance, along with some really vital material compliance frameworks. You've got to ensure your products are entirely free of lead and hazardous stuff, which means hitting standards like CPSIA and ROHS. So if you're still hanging on to that outdated assumption that sourcing from China is just for cheap, throwaway goods, yeah, you can toss that right out the window. The game has totally changed. Here's our quick roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with the 2026 landscape shift, move into mapping the hubs, look at the evaluation matrix, break down the professional workflow steps, and finally, cap it off with the pitfalls to avoid. All right, Section 1, the 2026 landscape shift. We're looking at the move from cheap and fast straight into green sourcing. So let's unpack exactly why China is still the absolute heavy hitter on the global stage, even as these new sustainable practices rewrite the rulebook of procurement. Really, it boils down to a specific triad of superpowers keeping them at the top: ecosystem density, customization depth, and logistical agility. Think of it like this: the factory of the world offers a level of vertical integration that other regions honestly just cannot match right now. From the raw materials down to the hyper-specialized factories, all the way to the shipping ports, everything is just incredibly dense and connected. And that density, it gives you insane agility, whether you're a solo e-commerce seller just starting out or a massive corporate brand. But we do need a quick reality check for 2026, 15 to 30%. That right there is the premium you can expect to pay for this huge green sourcing movement we're seeing. Suppliers are pushing hard into recycled plastics, bamboo-based products, organic cotton, and yeah, it absolutely costs more. But, and this is a big but, paying that 15 to 30% material cost premium actually secures those crucial eco-certifications. Things like the Global Recycled Standard or the FSC mark for sustainable wood. And let's be real, in today's market, that verifiable sustainability factor is exactly what consumers are demanding. Moving right along to Section 2, mapping China's supply hubs, where we'll categorize the 7 distinct supplier types. You know, finding the perfect supplier isn't just about a quick online search. It really requires a deep understanding of the regional geography. You've kind of got to group these hubs by their specific superpowers. For example, if you need lightning speed and a rock-bottom budget for generic giveaways, think lanyards or silicone wristbands, Yiwu is 100% your destination. But what if you're a tech brand? Say you need high-value smart gifts like power banks or wearables. Then you bypass Yiwu and head straight to Shenzhen. If you're talking high-volume stationery, Ningbo is your best bet because of its massive port. And for custom-branded apparel, tote bags, caps, Guangzhou and Guangzhou are the undisputed champs. It's really all about matchmaking your specific buyer profile to the ideal region. This whole matchmaking idea brings us perfectly to strategy, which we can see laid out in this incredibly actionable supplier strategy comparison matrix. Let's walk through this together. Say you're an e-commerce seller just testing the waters with a brand new concept. You'll want B2B platforms. Why? Because you get low minimum order quantities and manageable 15 to 30-day lead times. But check out direct factories. Those are for your bulk, low-margin, heavy hitters. We're talking high minimums, like 3,000 units plus, and lead times stretching out to 45 days. Now, if you're in a total rush, Yiwu markets can flip stock items with a simple logo in just 7 to 14 days. Meanwhile, Shenzhen tech factories take 20 to 35 days, but they give you that deep, printed circuit board level customization for electronics. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Managing all those different suppliers sounds like a massive headache, right? Especially if you're running a complex multi-SKU campaign. Well, that's where full-service sourcing agencies come in. They do the heavy lifting, verifying suppliers, handling quality control, and packing it all into a single consolidated shipment. For doing all that, they typically charge a 5 to 10% service fee based on the order value. And honestly, for bulk buyers managing multiple products, that fee is worth its weight in gold. All right, into section 3 we go, the supplier evaluation matrix. This is all about looking beyond just the unit price. Let's talk about how the pros actually evaluate these factories to dodge quality disasters and reputational nightmares. Spoiler alert, experienced procurement officers never, ever just look at the price tag. They lean on 4 vital metrics. Number 1, certification verification. Like, does the factory actually hold an ISO 901 quality standard? If it's a food contact item like a coffee mug, do they have FDA or European LFGB health compliance? Number 2 is audit history. You literally must ask for a BSCI or SEDEX report to guarantee fair labor and ethical working conditions. Number 3 is prototyping speed, and 4 is logo printing methods. The print method totally dictates price and durability. In 2026, ethical factory conditions and permanent branding like laser engraving on metals are simply non-negotiable. I actually want to zero in on that third metric, prototyping speed. This is basically your golden standard. A truly reliable supplier is going to provide a digital mock-up within 24 hours, no excuses. And then they'll get a physical, pre-production sample into your hands within 7 to 10 days. This specific turnaround time is a fantastic litmus test. If they're dragging their feet here at the starting line, well, it tells you everything you need to know about their responsiveness and their true factory capability. Which brings us right to section 4, professional workflow steps. This is taking it from RFQ all the way to delivery. So we're moving out of strategy and straight into the execution phase of our playbook. Let's sequence through the 5 critical steps of the sourcing journey to make sure your import is a total success. Step 1, define the spec sheet. And please, I'm begging you, don't just ask a factory for a bag. You've got to spell it out. Define the material, the exact fabric thickness, like 600D polyester, the precise dimensions, the exact Pantone colors. Step 2, filter and send your RFQ, your request for quotation, to at least 5 suppliers. And hey, make sure you compare the landed cost, which includes shipping, not just the base unit price. Step 3 is sample validation. Step 4 is in-process inspection. And Step 5 is logistics consolidation, where you figure out if you're going by sea or rail freight. Let's pause on Step 3 for just a second, because this quote really hits the nail on the head. A golden sample serves as the legal benchmark for quality. That right there is why you can never, ever skip the physical sample validation step. That tangible, approved physical product sitting on your desk, that is exactly what legally binds the factory to your standard. But how do you actually enforce that golden standard once production starts? You use in-process inspection. This means you hire a third-party inspector to physically walk into the factory and check your goods when they're about 20% finished, and then again at 80%. It's an absolutely essential industry tactic for large orders. Why? Because it stops quality fade dead in its tracks. That's that notorious sneaky practice where factories swap in cheaper materials mid-production because they think you aren't paying attention. Let's wrap things up with Section 5, pitfalls to avoid. Basically, how to survive sourcing risks in 2026. We've got to cover the traps that still catch even smart buyers completely off guard. First up, ignoring material safety. Look, with countries heavily tightening regulations on plastics everywhere, you always have to demand material safety data sheets, period. Second, underestimating lead times. You literally have to build a 4-week buffer into your campaigns for Chinese New Year and Golden Week. Those seasonal shutdowns still cause massive global delays. And third, over-reliance on digital samples. That vibrant backlit RGB color glowing on your computer screen? Yeah, it's going to look entirely different when it's stamped with physical ink on a real product. Always verify your colors with a physical CMYK or Pantone swatch. Finally, let's talk about keeping your capital safe with safe payment standards. If you're dealing with a brand new supplier, you want to keep it extremely secure. Stick to Alibaba Trade Assurance or letters of credit. But once you've actually built up some trust, you want to shift over to the industry standard, which is a TT, a telegraphic transfer. You pay a 30% deposit to get the machines running, and this is the absolute key, you only wire that remaining 70% balance after your third-party inspector gives the green light at the factory. That right there is your ultimate financial safety net. Wow, okay, we've covered a huge amount of ground today. We've looked at the massive shift away from the old cheap and fast days, straight into this new era of transparency and green sourcing. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative question to chew on. Is your current supply chain actually ready for 2026's compliance and sustainability demands? Because this landscape is moving incredibly fast, and the buyers who adapt their sourcing strategies right now are the ones who are absolutely going to lead the market tomorrow. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the exact tools you need for your next big procurement journey.